Every single day in America, people walk into car dealerships and lose thousands of dollars, without even realizing it. Not because they're careless. Not because they're bad with money. But because the entire car buying process is carefully designed to make smart people make expensive decisions. And here's the shocking part: even if you think you got a great deal, there's a very high chance you didn't. In fact, you might have been guided step by step into paying more, while feeling like you were saving money. Sounds crazy, right? But stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you see car buying forever. But before we go deeper, quick note. Hello, my name is Marsh, and I am not a financial advisor. This video is purely for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified professional before making any major financial decisions. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a dealership and felt like everything was just smooth? The lighting is perfect. The cars look brand new. The salesperson is friendly, calm, and confident. They don't rush you. They make you feel comfortable. Almost like they're on your side. But what if I told you that every part of that experience is intentional? What if the entire setup is designed to lower your guard and make you trust the process? And here's where it gets even more interesting. There's a specific moment during this process where the biggest financial decision is made, but most people don't even notice it happening. Not when they agree. Not when they sign. Sometimes not even after they leave. Now let's break this down in a simple way. Most people walk into a dealership with one goal: get the best price on a car. That sounds smart. That sounds logical. But here's the problem. Focusing only on the price is exactly what makes people lose money. Because the real game isn't just about the price tag. It's happening behind the scenes, in ways most buyers don't understand. And once you see it, you won't be able to ignore it. So let's start with something that feels completely normal, but is actually one of the biggest traps in the entire process. It's called price anchoring. When you first sit down, the dealer shows you a price that feels just a little too high. Not crazy, just uncomfortable. That number sticks in your head. Then after a bit of talking, maybe a fake manager check, they come back with a lower number. Suddenly it feels like progress. It feels like you won something. But here's the truth, that lower price was already planned. You didn't move the deal. They did. And they moved it exactly where they wanted. Now here's where things quietly shift. The conversation moves away from the total price and into one simple question. What monthly payment works for you? And this is where most people relax. Because a monthly number feels easier to handle. It feels manageable. You start thinking in small chunks instead of the full cost. But that's the trick. Because once you focus on the monthly payment, they can change everything else behind the scenes. They can stretch your loan from 5 years to 6, even 7. That lowers your monthly payment, but increases how much you pay overall. And most people never stop to calculate that full number. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you agreed to pay $500 a month. Sounds reasonable, right? But if that payment is stretched over 7 years instead of 5, you could be paying thousands more without realizing it. Same car. Same deal. Different structure. And that difference is pure profit for the dealership and the lender. Now pause for a second and think about this. When was the last time someone at a dealership clearly showed you the total amount you would pay over time? Not just the monthly number. The full cost. Exactly. That's not an accident. And we're just getting started. Because once you say yes to that monthly number, the real game begins. Now just when you think you're close to finishing the deal, something interesting happens. The salesperson brings up protection options. They might say things like, most people add this for peace of mind, or this will protect your investment. And suddenly you're introduced to add-ons. Extended warranties, gap insurance, paint protection, tire coverage. It all sounds smart. Responsible, even. But here's the part they don't clearly tell you. Many of these add-ons are heavily marked up. Sometimes double. Sometimes even more. And because you're already mentally committed to the car, saying no feels uncomfortable. You've spent time there. You've imagined yourself driving it. You've already said yes to the deal in your head. So adding a little extra each month doesn't feel like a big decision. But those small additions stack up fast. An extra $40 here, $60 there. Suddenly you're paying thousands more over time for things you may never even use. Now here's another layer most people completely miss. If you have a trade-in, the dealership is now working two deals at the same time. One for the car you're buying, and one for the car you're selling. And they don't always make it clear how those numbers are being adjusted. They might offer you less for your trade-in, but make it look like you're getting a better deal on the new car. Or they might increase the price of the new car slightly while showing you a higher trade-in value. Either way, the numbers are blended together in a way that makes it hard to see the truth. Let that sink in for a second. You're not negotiating one deal. You're negotiating multiple moving pieces, and they control all of them. And just when you think everything is finalized, there's one more step that feels routine, but matters more than you think. The paperwork stage. Because this is where small details can quietly turn into big costs. Now you're sitting in the finance office. The deal feels done. You've picked the car. You've agreed on the numbers. At this point, most people relax. They think the hard part is over. But this is actually where some of the most important details get finalized, and where a lot of money can quietly slip away. The finance manager starts going through the paperwork. Everything moves fast. A lot of numbers. A lot of terms. And because you've already spent hours at the dealership, your brain is tired. You just want to finish and leave with your car. And that's exactly the moment where small things get overlooked. You might see charges labeled as documentation fees, processing fees, dealer fees. They sound official. Normal. Like something you can't question. But here's the reality. Many of these fees are either inflated or unnecessary. And because they're presented at the end, most people don't push back. It feels too late. Now here's something even more subtle. Sometimes, the interest rate you're offered isn't the lowest rate you actually qualify for. The dealership may increase it slightly and keep the difference as profit. So even a small change in your rate can cost you hundreds or even thousands of dollars over time. And most buyers never even realize it happened. Pause for a second and think about that. You trust that you're getting the best financing option, but in reality, there's room in the system for extra profit that you don't see. And all of this leads to one powerful truth. Every step of the process feels normal on its own. Nothing seems extreme. Nothing feels like a scam in the moment. But when you zoom out and look at the full picture, you start to see a pattern. Small decisions. Small changes. Small additions. All stacking together. And that's when the real question hits you. If all of this is happening in small pieces, where is the biggest impact actually coming from? Because the biggest truth about dealerships isn't in the price, it's somewhere deeper. Now here's the part that most people never fully see, the part that changes everything once you understand it. Car dealerships don't make most of their money from selling you the car. That might sound surprising, but the car itself is often just the entry point. The real money is made in the financing, the loan, the interest, the structure of how you pay over time. That's where the system is designed to win. Think about it like this. If a dealership sells you a car at a small profit, that's a one-time gain. But if they get you into a longer loan, with a higher interest rate, and a few add-ons built into it, now they're making money from you for years. Not just today. And that's why, throughout the entire process, they keep bringing you back to one number, the monthly payment. Because once you agree to that number, everything else becomes flexible. The price, the loan length, the interest rate, it can all be adjusted behind the scenes to fit that monthly target. Here's a simple way to see it. Two people can buy the exact same car. Same model. Same dealership. But one ends up paying thousands more over time. Not because they chose a different car, but because they agreed to a different financing structure. That's the hidden layer most people never look at. And this isn't about blaming dealerships. It's about understanding how the system works. Because once you understand that the real focus is on financing, not just the sticker price, everything starts to make sense. The questions they ask, the way they guide the conversation, the options they present. It's all leading toward one goal, getting you comfortable with the payment, not aware of the total cost. And once you see that clearly, you start to realize something important. The biggest mistake isn't trusting the process. It's not understanding it. Here's something most people never think about, but once you hear it, it's hard to ignore. Car dealerships don't rely on one big trick. They rely on human behavior. They know that when people are excited, they move faster. When people are tired, they question less. And when people feel like they're close to getting something they want, they become more flexible. That's not manipulation in the obvious sense, it's subtle. It's built into the experience. From the moment you walk in, to the moment you sign, the entire journey is designed to guide your emotions, not just your decisions. Now pause and think about your last big purchase. Were you completely calm? Did you take your time? Or did you feel a little rushed, a little pressured, even if no one directly said anything? That feeling right there, that's where most of the extra money is lost. Not in one big mistake, but in small moments where you didn't stop and think. And this doesn't just apply to cars. This applies to almost every major financial decision. The system isn't built for your clarity. It's built for efficiency, for closing deals, for moving you forward. And unless you slow it down yourself, it will keep moving exactly the way it was designed to. But here's the powerful part. Once you become aware of this, everything changes. You start noticing things other people miss. You start asking better questions. You stop reacting emotionally and start thinking clearly. And that shift alone puts you in a completely different position. Because at the end of the day, it's not about avoiding every single extra cost. It's about understanding what's happening while it's happening. And when you reach that point, you're no longer just another customer walking into a dealership. You're someone who understands the system, and that changes everything.